We're going to do a quick video on the technician performance report to hopefully explain how this report works and the reason that it does some of the things that it does. So to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the top section here. And so we're going to pick a date range that we're going to run this. We can also look at processed reports that we've run in the past. You can pick locations, departments, technicians if you want to run it for one particular technician. And then you can also run it for different labor rates that you may have. So the report itself, once you choose these items that you want to pick here, and also keep in mind that this section right here explains what everything on this report is made up of. So if you forget something, you can always come back to here to actually see where the numbers are coming from. But the report itself is fairly self-explanatory. There's two sections of this report. The reason that there are two sections of the report is an earlier version of the report actually had a different number on here that you could use that tried to give you an efficiency based on the amount of time the mechanic was clocked into work and the amount of time he was turning the wrench. The problem that we had with that number is that it was never right. And it actually never really made any sense. And the reason is because Lizzy doesn't actually pay a mechanic until the job is finished. So until the job is actually completed, that job will not show up in an area that can be processed, because until we actually know how much time they actually spent on the job, we don't really know what their productivity was anyway. Or their efficiencies and stuff. So we eliminated that field from the report because, as an example, you may be looking at a job that got finished last week, and so now it's time to pay the mechanic, but he actually worked on it for 8 hours last week and worked on it for 10 hours the week before. And so now he's got 18 hours in that unit for it getting done. And we're going to end up with a number that is completely useless, to try to give any real meaning to what's going on. And so instead, what we do is, for the week that he was actually there, we look at the wrench time that he turned the wrench during that time period, and the time that he actually worked, or he was clocked in on the time clock, to give you a productivity. So we're not giving you any numbers based on, this week's of time clock versus, the last 2 weeks of time on the job. We're giving you the total time that he turned the wrench during the last 5 days, or, the 5 days of last 6 days of last week, versus the time that he was clocked in on the time clock during that same period of time. So that gives you this number here, which is your productivity number. And then over on the right hand side, we're actually looking at the actual job. So now what we're doing is we're looking at the wrench time for the completed jobs, whatever it was that he completed during that time period, and the total billable time and the total billable amount, and to give you a tech efficiency. So in this side over here, we're not looking at the time he was clocked in on the time clock. We're purely looking at the billable time and the wrench time to give you an efficiency number. And then on the left side, we're giving you the productivity, which is during the time period that you ran the report, his wrench time versus the time that he was clocked in during that week. And that's all it looks at. And so that's pretty much what the report is doing. Once you get through looking and paying these people for this particular time, you want to make sure that down here in the bottom right hand corner that you click the process completed jobs button, because what that will do is it will lock the jobs that you just got through paying him for, to make sure that somebody didn't go back and change those numbers. And then it also makes sure that they're tagged and don't show up on future reports when you come in to run them for the following week.